AEW Dynamite starts off with Mercedes Mone versus Hikaru Shida for the TBS Championship. This match is happening because last week on Collision, Hikaru Shida called her shot at Mercedes Mone. She's trying to fight her way back to get AEW Gold. Towards the end of the match, Camille kept interfering in the match. Hikaru Shida tried to attack her with her staff or with her stick or whatever, but Mercedes ends up taking it away, which ends up distracting the referee, which allowed Camille to attack Hikaru Shida with a big boot. Then she puts her in the ring. This allows Mercedes Moné to hit the moneymaker and retain her TBS championship. After the match, Britt Baker theme music hits. Camille is trying to, wait for her through the entrance rep, ready to attack. But Britt Baker isn't coming out. She looks around and she sees a fan that's wearing the mask and the hoodie that Britt Baker wore a few weeks ago when she ended up using that trick on Mercedes Moné. So she takes the fan and starts attacking that fan, stomping that fan out. But it's not Britt Baker. Britt Baker ends up coming from the crowd. She gets in the ring and tries to apply the lockjaw on Mercedes Moné, but Camille ends up making a save. This was a good way, solid way to open the show overall. Decent match. Good way to open the show. I have nothing more to say here. I'm not gonna act like it progressed much more story, but this was a solid way to open the show. Next, we get Jack Perry. Darby Allin is making his entrance, and then out of nowhere you get Jack Perry. He ends up attacking Darby Allin during his entrance, constantly attacking him. Then they end up going to the backstage. They go have a decent brawl, but Jack Perry gets the upper hand. Then Jack Perry decides to put Darby Allin underneath the garage door and slams the garage door on Darby Allin, having it crush him. Security comes in, trying to stop them from brawling, breaking it up. And then Jack Perry ends up saying that he wants to defeat Darby in his own game, and he requests to have a coffin match at Allin. So at Allin, it's going to be a coffin match against Darby Allin versus Jack Perry. Very excited to see how that match plays out. Very excited, because that match should be an absolute banger. I can't wait to see how that match plays out. Next, we get Mariah May. She has an amazing vignette. Amazing vignette. This was a very great vignette. I love the way she started it off too. She started off by saying that we're done doing the black and white. We're done doing the black and white. We're not doing that anymore. She mentions last year at All In how Toni Storm lost last year. She mentions how it's going to basically be the same this year, and that basically, and she ends up mentioning her attack on Toni Storm, and that I love her ending sentence that she said to Toni. She ends up saying that we're both going to die one day, but I'm the one that gets to write your eulogy, which I thought was great. Why is this not getting more TV time? This is ridiculous. Why is Mariah May and Toni Storm not getting more TV time? This has been happening for a while now, that Toni Storm and Mariah May are just barely getting TV time, which doesn't make sense. Like, we're getting Hangman Page and Jay Lethal putting on a 10 to 15 minute match, but you're telling me Toni Storm and Mariah May, two of your biggest stars in the women's division, can't get 5 minutes? Like this is ridiculous. Like I don't understand this. This is your biggest story in your women's division. Now, hypothetically, you could argue Mercedes Moné and Britt Baker just because of the name value, but I don't even but in terms of pure excitement level, more people are more excited about Toni Storm and Mariah May than they are Mercedes and Britt Baker. That's just a fact. Like, why is this not getting no TV time? This should be getting way more TV time. Mariah May and Toni Storm should be having more segments. But no, we're getting more segments about we're getting more information about Hangman and Jay Lethal and the learning tree than this. And I like Hangman, but why is Hangman fighting Jay Lethal for 15 to 10 minutes? Did we really need that match? Same thing. Hook, Chris Jericho, I'm cool with what happened later in the show. I'm cool with that. But come on, do we really want to see Chris Jericho on our stream more than Toni Storm and Mariah May? I just don't get it. I don't understand it. They need more TV time. Hopefully the go home show for All In, they have an actual real segment together, because they need it. It makes no sense why they don't get more TV time. After this, we get Mina Shirakawa. She gets interviewed. She basically ends up mentioning how she doesn't understand how these two came to, the place that they're in, and that she's very shocked by the turn of Mariah, that Mariah typically isn't that way, and she's very shocked that the friendship is basically going downhill with Toni Storm and Mariah May. I'm assuming she's going to play a part into this story, because there's no reason for her to have her interview without her being involved. Now, you could say that, well, she had history with Mariah and Toni, that's why they're interviewing her, but to be honest, we didn't need the interview if she's not going to play a part at all. So I do think she will play a part at All In. Possibly she could cause an interference somehow to help Toni Storm or Mariah. That's what I'm predicting, but who knows. Next, we get Orange Cassidy versus Roger Strong versus Kyle O'Reilly. This is to get the #1 spot in the Casino Gauntlet match at All In. The winner of that gets the AEW title shot. Orange Cassidy picks up the victory. It only made sense. We already knew Roger Strong and Kyle O'Reilly wasn't going to win. That wasn't going to win. Like, come on, they wasn't going to win that. This was a really good match, really good triple threat match. Orange Cassidy advanced, and we'll see if he wins that Casino Gauntlet match, depending on who's all in that match. Next, we get Hook. He comes out. Tony Schiavone is interviewing him. Hooks basically ends up saying that, look, he wants his FTW championship back, and that he wants to fight Chris Jericho tonight on Dynamite. Chris Jericho comes out. He basically hypes up the crowd, pretends, do the typical heel thing, pretends like he's going to fight. He ends up declining. But he ends up giving Hook a match. He ends up saying that, look, I will fight you at All In, but this is your last opportunity. This is your last and only chance. If I win, you can't go after the FTW championship no more. You can't go after the learning tree. You can't come after us no more. And then he says next week Hook will face Big Bill. So next week Hook will face Big Bill. Hopefully at All In, I'm praying to God, this is the end of this story. I love Chris Jericho. He's one of my favorites of all time. I think he's very underrated. But man, I pray to God this story ends at All In. It needs to end. It needs to end. It needs to end. We don't need no more of the learning tree. It needs to go. Okay. Have Hook win. Then Samoa Joe, Shibata, they can still do their thing with that faction, but it needs to end. Okay. The storyline needs to end. They need to all move on. I pray to God that it moves on. Next, we get the Acclaim versus the Young Bucks for the AEW Tag Team Championships. Towards the end of the match, Dax ends up making a save because the Young Bucks, I think Matt Jackson grabbed the AEW Championships and AEW Tag Championships, my mistake, and he was about to hit Max Caster with it, but Dax ends up making a save, stopping him. While he stops them, Matt ends up spitting on him, if I'm not mistaken. He ends up spitting on Dax Harwood. Dax Harwood, of course, ends up attacking. The referee ends up seeing it, ends up calling a disqualification. Then, of course, you already know the Acclaim doesn't like that because you basically cost them an opportunity at the AEW World Tag Team Championships. They end up going back and forth. Security has to break them up. And this leads to Christopher Daniels ends up making it official that on Collision that they're going to have a tag team match between FTR and the Acclaim to see who is the #1 contender for the Young Bucks at All In. This is very, very confusing and shaky because everyone most likely are going to assume FTR is going to win this. And I kind of have that feeling, but I'm going to be honest. I do not want FTR is my favorite tag team in AEW, but no, they do not need another shot at the Young Bucks. This is just, no, we don't need another match from them. We know the match is going to be good, but do we want to see another part of this match? Like, mind you, I haven't even been an AEW fan since the beginning. Like, I didn't see all the matches, but I know this is like their 4th time facing or 5th time facing. It's like, do we really need to see another one of those matches? And right now, the story between FTR, it doesn't even make sense from a story perspective to why they want to face the Young Bucks right now. They have more of an issue with the Acclaim. If you really wanted to make a story, it would make more sense for the Acclaim to win the tag titles and then they face FTR because they have more history right now. Honestly, the Acclaim should beat the FTR, but I don't see that happening. I feel like they're just going to put on the bigger match, which is FTR versus the Young Bucks, but do we really need to see that match again? Like, hopefully it's the Acclaim versus the Young Bucks, because most likely the Young Bucks are not losing. I just don't see it. They need to lose, but I just don't see it personally, especially if they're going to continue to push this whole the Elite storyline. But I don't know. This is just a very shaky situation, but hopefully the Acclaim wins, but my gut is telling me that FTR is just going to win and face the Young Bucks at All In. Now we get the main event, Swerve versus Yuta. Swerve picks up the victory. The ref had to call off the match. Swerve is constantly attacking Yuta. Brian Danielson ends up coming in the ring. He was watching from the crowd. He comes in the ring. Swerve ends up leaving the ring. Then Swerve gets on the microphone. He ends up saying that this is only the beginning of why I am the most dangerous man in AEW. And that he ends up mentioning his family, how his family's going to be there, and how he was watching in the stands. And he ends up saying that the same thing he just did to Wheeler Yuta, he's going to do the same thing to him in front of his daughter watching him at All In. and that he could finally fulfill that promise he made to his daughter to finally retire, because he's going to force him to retire. Then it looks like Swerve was about to walk off. Bryan Danielson, is trying to help Wheeler Yuta. Then out of nowhere, Swerve gets in the ring and hits Bryan Danielson with a house call. This was really good. I love this. This was really good. The only thing I kind of wish they didn't do was turn Swerve heel. It does make it more interesting, though. I will say that, because this does make it kind of unpredictable, because I can see a world where Bryan Danielson actually wins. It really depends on the go-home show. I need to see how the go-home show works, see how that operates, to really understand, to really give who I have winning. But as of right now, I can see a world where Bryan Danielson actually beats Swerve for the AEW World Championship. This was overall solid show. This was solid. This was an improvement. This was an improvement for last week, because last week's show was terrible. This was an improvement. Hopefully they continue to go in the right direction. This was overall solid show. But you guys, let me know your opinions down below. Let me know your excitement level. Let me know what you guys think of tonight. Let me know what you guys think of All In, the build up to All In. Let me know your opinions down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, that's it.